Today I'm going to talk about overcoming wounds in general, and it can be a relationship to your twin flame partner and also to your parents as well, to actually overcome your childhood wound. I have created a different video where I talk about the same childhood wound that at the core there is codependency, shame, and denial. I'm going to leave a link below. And later on, I'm also going to create a video that is going to talk about the 5 core wounds of children to help you process and even identify if you have it or not. And also when that's done, there will be a link below. And in this video, this is going to be a more general, that you have to really process it. But when you see how to do it, you can do it very easily, in a sense, how to spot. The execution part is not as easy and simple. It will take a lot of time because there will be a lot of emotional wounding involved. So first of all, in order to overcome a trauma or a wound, we have to understand what the wound is and where is it coming from. So the wound is actually what you couldn't accept. Either you rejected within yourself, for example, you tried to go and get a hug and you kept trying and you were neglected and then you just given up. So you repressed that part. Then another, but this can be anything else as well. And then another way is that the parent actually pushed some of your behaviors away or down, that this is not what we do, you shouldn't act this way. So these are the wounds that, meaning these are the repressed parts that you couldn't accept. Because it was not an option for you. And this is where your brokenness is in the nervous system, that you have those parts in your unconscious. You can sense it in your unconscious that can give a sense of feeling something is missing, or longing for something, or even as anger, that these are those repressed parts. And the wound itself it looks like anger on the top, and underneath you have sadness, and underneath that you actually have the actual pain, and that it's broken. And the brokenness will make sense when I explain how it is. So the brokenness is that you have these different systems within you, 3 systems. If you are watching my videos, you're probably bored of it. I'm really sorry, but I can't explain it in a different way. That you have the reptile, the mammalian, and the primate level. And what that means is that at certain times of your life, certain systems are going to be predominantly active. So when you are a little baby, a newborn baby, you are on a reptile level. You have to cry, because otherwise you would die. You wouldn't survive. And then later on, you actually have the more emotional part kicking in. And that's when you want love as well. So it's not only food now. You want love, you want attention, you want your parent really pay attention to you and love you and accept you unconditionally. And this is where most of the wounds are coming from, because the key problem is that this top part is missing. So, and that is the primate level, or we can call it the cognition, that you don't have the ability to understand what's happening, because when we are born, we don't have the mental structure of a trained psychologist with a PhD, that anything what your parent does or parents do, you would understand it. Oh my God, this is a bitchy behavior. I understand. My father or my mom behaves this way because of this and that. No, you didn't have that. and you took everything very, very personally. And in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you can see that under the age of 8 and 9, you don't have a critical filter at all, which means that everything goes into this emotional part. And this is where all of these wounds are. This is where the disconnection from the body and the mind is coming from. That's what you try to overwrite now. That's what you try to integrate. And with your twin flame connection, the body part gets triggered, and these wounds get a second chance that this time you are going to make a different body-mind connection. You are going to see the same situation, but the situation is not exactly like with the parent. It's that the feeling, the core feeling is going to be exactly the same, and you need to process it with your head in a different way. Many of us, when we had parents that we started to cry or started to complain, and they just started to tear rules. So they connected with the head. It's a very, very common issue that, oh, you shouldn't cry. There is nothing to cry about. When I was at your age, I had to go to school with no shoes in the 2 meters tall snow, and it was freezing cold, and I still did that. So these personal things that completely devalue your internal experiences disconnect you from the body. Actually, if you are a runner, most likely that this is your type of parent, this authoritarian parenting. And with the chaser, it's a different type of parenting. It's more like a neglected, that the child was there and the parents just kind of didn't care. That's why the head is not as engaged, because they just let the child to be. And maybe some of them seen it as I just give freedom to the child. I'm not going to tell my child what to do. So this is like one option. But the other option is that maybe the child was the last one by that time in the family, and they just let whatever happen because the first 2 or 3 survived. I don't have to pay too much attention now. She or he will be okay. And another option as well, that the parents are just working too much and they don't have time for the child. So this is what you have to really think back in order to overcome your trauma, to see yourself from the parent's point of view. And that's the same with these very strict parents. These are the type of, that's the type of parent I had in my mother, that they see it as love, and they see disciplining the child that equals child abuse. Basically, from our point of view, that's child abuse. From the parent's point of view, I'm doing good for the child, so my child is going to be accepted by society. But in reality, what this means is, at the very core, it doesn't matter which one you are. Your parents sucked. It's as simple as that. They shouldn't have had children because they had absolutely no idea what the fuck to do, because they were unhealed children themselves as well. That's why I always say, when I can, that we are overpopulated now, and actually there should be a certificate that only people who are emotionally mature, at least to a certain degree, should be allowed to have children, because they can cause so much trauma and so much damage in a child, and it's so difficult to overcome it, that there should be a system that protects all newborn babies, that it's not the parents' right to have a child, it's the child right, the children's right to have a normal and emotionally mature parent. Full stop. And the only thing you can think of is that whatever is done is done. You cannot go back and change it. The only thing you can is that the way you see it. So if you change your perception, that is going to change how you see things. And what you have to do is you really have to connect to the pain of whoever abused you. So it can be your parent, it can be even your twin flame, or maybe someone in the kindergarten hurt you because they didn't love you back or something. So it doesn't really matter what that is, but you have to recall your own pain, what that happened, and also the pain. You have to see the pain of whoever abused you, because that pain, what they really had deep inside of them, created that behavior, that negative behavior that hurt you. So instead of thinking, okay, should I fully accept theirs, or if I accept mine and then I detach, then I'm selfish, what to do? It's detaching basically in a way that you attach to your own feeling, but you also accept the other person's internal experiences at the same time. And you see it realistically, and it won't change the past, unfortunately, but it can drastically calm how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the person who hurt you. And of course, if the person is abusive, you should move away, because it's a very different thing to forgive the person for what they have done to you. But as a self-protection and as a part of self-love, you don't allow the hurt to happen anymore. You create a boundary, in a sense that first you express maybe that, look, I really like you, or I really appreciate you, or you are a very, very important part of my life, but these are the things that when you do, it's really hurtful, blah, 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 blah. Because maybe the other person, I'm really sorry, is so unaware or so dumb or so naive or so whatever that they don't even recognize their own negative behavior, or they actually hurt you because they are so disconnected from themselves that they just don't have this ability. Because sometimes people are hurtful because they don't really get emotionally hurt. They don't really get emotionally triggered. So just imagine a person who has a body that can go through fire, can go through everything, because they just don't experience pain, or they only experience a very little bit. That person believes that, oh, everyone is going to be like this, unless others actually explain that you are just very different from us. But that person, when that's the only thing they have, can be actually very hurtful. Like, just imagine if you stick the person with a knife and the person doesn't feel anything. The person would think that if he or she sticks you with a knife because it doesn't create pain, that it's actually not a painful thing. So this is exactly the same sometimes with emotions, that because they are so insensitive, because that sensitive emotional part is blocked and repressed within them, that's why they are so hurtful with others, because it's something they don't understand. It's like being colorblind, but this is with emotions. And as a final note, that what I usually hear is that, oh, just forgive, just forgive. I'm really sorry. It's bullshit. Because if you don't know what you forgive, then it's not processed. Because it's not really about the forgiveness, it's processing. Because when you are able to process it, you are able to rewire yourself. You basically go back in time in your mind and also in your heart, and you kind of make different connections, and you create a very different association of what happened to you, what happened to them. Then forgiveness is going to be automatic, because you separate yourself from how they treated you. You are going to have a very different experience within, because you are going to be able to identify their limits, their capabilities. You are going to be able to see their love language, how much they can even like you or love you, and what their insecurities are. And again, it's true about your parents to overcome that trauma, and also true about your twin flame. And this is where you go against to that system, because this is in the attachment system, that you detach, but in a way that you are fully attached but at the same time fully detached, which means that the two internal experiences become separate. You see it from their point of view and from your point of view as well at the same time. See you in my next video.